Let's begin in Libya, where a car bomb exploded outside the French embassy in the Libyan capital, Tripoli, on Tuesday. 2 French guards and several residents were injured. This is the first major attack on a foreign embassy in the Libyan capital. CCTV's Oyola reports.
The aftermath. Extensive damage outside Libya's French embassy in the capital, Tripoli. A car loaded with explosives detonated outside the embassy building early Tuesday.
التفجير صار الصبح بكري الساعة قريب 7 إلا تلت هذا اللي صار. فكان تفجير قوي ومدمر. في إصابات؟ في إصابات جروح فقط لكن ما فيش موت. وعندهم السفارة عندهم واحد متضرر.
The blast ignited a fire at the embassy entrance, engulfing some of the officers inside. 2 French guards and several residents were wounded. 2 cars parked outside caught fire and 2 other nearby buildings were also damaged, officials said. In Paris, Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius condemned the attack, saying everything would be done to find the perpetrators.
The French Foreign Ministry is working with the Libyan authorities to do everything it can to shed light on this abhorrent act.
French President François Hollande denounced the bombing as an assault not only against France, but all countries engaged in the fight against terrorism. Libyan Foreign Minister Mohamed Abdelaziz condemned the bombing as a terrorist act. However, he did not speculate on who might be behind it. No group has yet claimed responsibility for the attack. This is the first of such an assault on an embassy in the Libyan capital. Last September, militants attacked the U.S. diplomatic mission on the eastern city of Benghazi and killed the U.S. ambassador and 3 other Americans. Security remains precarious in a country awash with weapons and where militias often do as they please. Oyola, CCTV.
Let's discuss this further with Professor Geoff Toker of the American Graduate School of International Relations. He joins us live from Paris. Professor Toker, how is this attack being viewed in Mali? Are there any links being drawn to the French intervention there in Mali?
Well, we're early in the day regarding the investigation. The bomb attack took place just almost 12 hours ago, so there are no indications, certainly not formal ones, but everything actually leads to believe that not only there is the linkage between the Malian situation, but within the overall context which produced the situation in northern Mali, and then was followed by French military intervention in northern Mali. And let me say furthermore, pessimistically I'm afraid, that not only Mali and not only Libya are connected to the very same kind of basic energy, if I may say so, which focused around Islamist radical groups. Some other African countries in Central and Western Africa are also part of that overall interconnectivity, which we have pointed about several times during since the beginning of the French military intervention in northern Mali. So this is, of course, a very sharp and a very harsh attack, and it has a clear address, Paris, France, and it has, in terms of the Islamist radical groups, all the good reasons to address this objective because of the French role in ousting Gaddafi and because of the French presence in Africa and most particularly in northern Mali.
Let's talk about Libya, which you referred to there. It has recently been named in a UN report as a key conduit in the flow of arms to extremist groups in North and West Africa. That's, of course, following the proliferation of weapons in the post-Gaddafi era. Does France, who were in the front line of activities to flash out Gaddafi, consider Tuesday's attack as a cue for helping resolve the weapons problem?
Yes, the weapon problem is indeed part of the overall picture, and it seems clear that it was part of the French and Western overall assessment which preceded the military intervention and other European, African and international efforts to pacify or relatively pacify the situation in northern Mali and in central Western Africa. So yes, the fact that weapons have been circulating, and yes, the fact that those who were holding those weapons were, generally speaking, globally speaking, synthetically speaking, those Islamist radical groups which were persecuted by the Gaddafi regime prior to the end of that regime, and those weapons, or part of those weapons, easily crossed over the border towards the south, namely towards Mali, and do certainly play a role in the overall battleground circumstances, battleground conditions, which the French and other African troops had to face and still will have to face, certainly in the future. Yes, so solving the weapon problem in Mali is part of solving the weapon problems in Libya and elsewhere in Africa.
All right, Professor Geoff Toker, live in Paris. Thanks very much for your time.